And a very good hello to everyone. I was going to say, and a very good morning or good afternoon or good evening, but goodness knows what time you're watching this. And a very big hello to all our fans watching out there. If you are a Star Vista Live cruiser, you know my next guest very well. Certainly, if you've done the country cruise or the 70s rock and romance cruise. If you are just a music fan, of course, you know them as well. I have the fabulous Mr. Sonny LeMaire of Exile with us. Sonny, how are you, sir?
Hey, Jason, how are you? Hi, everybody.
We're good, man. We're good. You know, we've been busy. This obviously with all of us being quarantined and social distancing, and no one going out to work, and folks like yourself not jumping on stage. One of the ways we have to connect as entertainers is obviously through things like this, chats and interviews
Yeah.
that we can do virtually, living room to living room. We like to call it all access pass from home, or listening parties or whatever it happens to be. And this
Yeah.
one's a little bit of a combo. We're going to chat with you, and then you've got some music for us.
I got some songs. I do.
That's awesome. You got some songs.
I do.
After 43 years in exile, I'm sure you've got some songs.
I've got a few.
First and foremost, let's talk a little bit about 1977. You joined the band in 1977. What brought you to that point? You being ready and Exile being ready and you guys connecting.
Well, it was a lot of hard work, obviously, a lot of preparation. I was working in a little club. Actually, it was a bowling alley bar in Lexington, Kentucky. And the lead guitarist of Exile, JP Pennington, he would come into this club inside the bowling alley at least twice a week, at least, and set in. So we started this rapport, and I kind of knew him just from the band because I'd seen the band, obviously, but I didn't know him well at all. And so we established a friendship. And, when their bass player quit, they approached me, based on JP's recommendation that he'd been, kind of setting in and saw how I played, saw how I sang, liked my personality. And so that's how it happened. That's how I got in the band.
Now, when you say setting in, like he was sitting and playing with you guys, or was he was just watching?
I mean, as somebody in the audience, but we'd get him up to play.
Nice.
And he literally set in, on quite a few songs with us. And it turned into kind of a real cool little collaboration.
Yeah. When they talked to you about possibly coming over and joining the band, were you scared of it? Were you excited for it? Were you ready for it? What was the initial?
Well, when I got a call from the keyboard player, Marlon Hargis, is the one who called me and said, "Hey man, come over to my house. I got something to talk to you about." Now, I got to set the stage because in '77, the band was really known, in Central, all around the area, regionally, as one of the hottest bands. They performed a lot of their own material, even cover songs that they did it in a very original way. So they couldn't play just every club because they weren't just a copy, a cover band per se. So they weren't making a lot of money, believe it or not. Now, I didn't know this at the time.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So I go.
You stayed at the bowling alley.
I go over to Marlon's house, and I honestly thought that he was going to ask me to join our band at the bowling alley. I mean, honestly, because Exile wasn't doing that well.
They were jumping ship. They were all. Yeah.
After initial pleasantries, like "How you doing?" He said, "Well, look, the reason I called you over here is because I want you. We want you to join the band Exile." And there was this moment of kind of, like a dog looking at you like this,
Yeah.
Really? And it caught me really, really off guard. And kind of when I recovered, I was like flabbergasted, like, wow. Yeah, I would love to. He said, "I guess you're wondering about how much, you can make, how much money." And I said, "Well, yeah, because let me explain. At the bowling alley, I was making either $350 or $400 a week. This was in '77.
Yeah.
Playing.
Yeah, you're making
not bad. Not bad. So I said, "Yeah." I mean, how much? Now I was married and I had a young daughter at the time.
So you had responsibilities. You can't just be
Definitely
running off and joining a garage band. No offense to Exile. They weren't a garage band.
got to put food on the table.
Yeah.
So I said, well, how much? He goes, well, we can pay you $150 a week. And again, I thought he was joking. I started laughing. You know, that's funny.
You're like, aha.
He said, no, really. I went, oh my God. So, you know, I leave and I went home and I told my wife, and she said, well, what did he want? And I said, he wants me to join Exile. And she went, oh my God, that's great. How much? I said, $150. He went, what? So they somehow between talking to the producer at the time, Mike Chapman, who was getting ready to produce this brand new album, which would contain Kiss You All Over. They came up with money between our producer and them to pay me $150. I joined the band. The rest is history.
So what makes a man with responsibilities in life walk away from $400 a week to $150 a week? Just the opportunity because it was Exile. I mean, obviously the name and the prestige and the potential that, you know, it could go farther, or what's going on in your brain?
The short answer would be the opportunity.
Yeah.
But as you know, I mean, you deal with musicians, entertainers all the time. That's what you're in the business for that.
Yes, sir.
It's most people don't make it that far into the business because of either not enough money, they get married, they have responsibilities, they have kids. You know, most normal people confronted, you know, with that situation with $150 would say, I'm sorry, no, negative.
Thank you, but no thank you.
No, thank you, you know. But it was the opportunity. I saw it as the opportunity of a lifetime, and it was, you know, and anybody like me that is consumed with music, and I'm not talking about celebrity or being a star. I'm talking about being consumed with doing music. You know, that is your focus. There's no plan A. No plan B rather.
Yeah, B. Sometimes there's no plan A either, Sonny. Let's be honest. Yeah.
So it just, you know, I was so focused and so determined, and I saw it as an incredible opportunity, of course, which it was. And, you know, looking back, of course, it was the right decision. But I had a few people telling me at the time, you're making a really bad move. Really.
But your wife, I was going to say, it sounds like your wife was behind you.
She was. She was also a singer at the time. You know, she sang. So she understood.
Yeah.
You know.
It's interesting. I don't mean to I apologize for cutting off. It's interesting that I married someone who's in the entertainment business to a certain extent as well. And it's interesting that it's such it's not cliche. We're not in the most difficult business in the world or the least difficult business in the world, but it's an emotional business and it's a trying business. And it's a business of pass and fail and constant failure and, you know, and the big successes. And then it helps in some ways to either have someone that is so removed, but balanced enough to understand it, or involved in some way so they can actually look at it and go, no, I understand. I get it. You have to take the pay cut to be in Exile. You have to. You'll regret that.
Absolutely agree. At the time, if I'd been married probably to anybody else, it wouldn't have happened. You know, absolutely.
Yeah, truth to that. Now, a little bit about Exile themselves. Exile's obviously kind of spans a cool spectrum. You know, I mean, there's so many ties between rock and country, and you know, you don't have one without the other, really. You know, there's Southern rock, there's country. I mean, there's so many versions of it. Exile kind of has a unique place in there. Tell us a little bit about the development of the band. And I know obviously a lot of that starts before you were there, but having been there for 40 years, I'm sure you understand the story.
Well, I mean, the band, even though I didn't start with the band in '63, I actually started playing music in '64. Yeah. And so I, you know, with other bands, of course.
Sure.
So I knew the process. And, you know, as bands go, especially young bands, you know, starting in high school, teenage guys, which we all were, which we all did. You know, again, it's the weeding out process because guys come and go based on talent, lack of talent, you know, perseverance, well, I got it, mom says I can't do it, or I can't go to this show, or, I need to concentrate on my studies, whatever it is. So we all kind of shared the same background, just that love for music. But the band continued, started, and, worked its way up through the club scene. And somehow, though, this particular band became very focused on original material early on, really early on, where most bands don't. I mean, they
Yeah.
try.
They
But
cover a lot because
they do.
it's easy and it's popular and people love it.
Absolutely. But Exile started early on with original material. Now, not exclusively, of course, but it was a prime focus. And as I continued my career leading up to joining Exile, my focus was on not just performing, but was on songwriting also. And that's one of the other reasons that I jumped at the opportunity to join the band was, this creative outlet. I was starting to write songs, I'd been writing. I saw it as a vehicle.
So you had started writing then before, okay, I was actually gonna ask you about that. Had you, and let's segue a tiny bit into writing, because writing's a big part of who you are and your success. Obviously you've written or co-written, monsters, just so many monsters in the industry. What did you just start writing and, just because you were interested in it, or did you really feel like you were tapped into something that you had to share?
I didn't come to it. I came to it, I'm a musician first. I started trying to develop songwriting as an outlet. I became really interested in it. And, I thought there were things I wanted to say.
Sure.
Now, those early songs were terrible. I mean, really terrible.
Most first drafts of books go the same way, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
But, a lot of people confronted, with trying to present their original material, you get rejected, or, oh my God, that's terrible, or whatever. And you have, the whole process of revealing a new song is really emotional. Sure. The first time I had to play a song to somebody else, I mean, I was hyperventilating, I was sweating, I was terrified, honestly.
Well, it's emotional, right? Because that's a piece of you.
It is. It absolutely is.
And now you're looking for approval.
Yeah. But, what you don't realize early on is that as a songwriter, you're really going to face rejection a lot more than you are going to face success. But fortunately, I had some initial, approval from some people, some rejection, but, it buoyed my confidence to keep going, to keep trying.
Sure.
And I'll tell you one other thing. When I joined the band and we were getting ready to do the album Mixed Emotions, which had Kiss You All Over, Mike Chapman, our producer, who is a genius, honestly, he sat down with me. He said, okay, play me some of your songs. And I was terrified. So I would play him a song, and he would listen to it. And he would point out, he'd say, okay, hey, that's a good hook, or that's a good chorus, or a bridge right there. Or I love that little change right there, but you can improve it here. And the way he did it really, I mean, to this day, I'm indebted to him for how he took the time with me and showed interest. And it really helped me immensely.
Well, and that's fantastic. And I say this, and I hope not to sound pandering, but I hope you got a chance to say that to him, or you have taken a moment to say that to him, because, I think it's important that people that deal in, and this intimately, so I'm not saying this so much to you as I'm saying it out loud, people that deal with other people's dreams and have to correct them or embrace them or crush them, you almost find that you wall yourself off a little bit to certain things, because that's how you protect yourself when you're dealing with others. And so that's the only reason I say that, is I have some mentors in my life that I had a mentor at one point say to me, not for himself, but for other people. He's like, if anyone's helped you along the way, make sure you let them know that they're doing good, because sometimes they're just plugging away.
I agree.
So speaking of your writing, I know we're going to listen to a few of your songs, and I know one of them. Tell me a little bit about Nobody's Talking.
Okay, well, Nobody's Talking is an Exile song. And, the history of the band, we've had members come and go. At that period in time, our two lead singers, J.P. Pennington and Les Taylor, had left the band to pursue solo careers. Mm-hmm. So the drummer and I, Steve Getzman and I, we, got some other incredibly talented musicians, singers in the band. We got signed to Arista Records at the time. And our producer is a guy from California named Randy Sharp, who is a brilliant songwriter himself. And he and I co-wrote this song, Nobody's Talking. And it was contained on our first album on Arista Records. And, consequently, because those two guys left, I was left as one of the lead singers, along with another guy named Paul Martin, who was in the band. So it was my first real attempt. I'd done it on previous Exile albums, but not a lot. Sure. But it was really a chance for me to step out as a lead singer and to sing one of my own songs. And it was a great process. The video was pretty cool on it. It was a lot of fun to do. We do it all the time in our shows still.
What's the co-writing experience like? I can understand the writing experience just because it's you and your feeling and your emotion and your vision, but it must get tricky when you're sharing that with someone else, even if you're like-minded.
It is. It can be. It can turn out great or be a terrible experience, and I've had both. Mm-hmm. The situation with Randy Sharp, for example. I'd come from a long history of JP and I writing all our songs. Yeah. And then when he left, there was this void, like, oh man. So when I started co-writing with Randy Sharp, I was versed in co-writing. And Randy's personality, his abilities, everything just connected with me. And we wrote some really cool songs together.
And forgive my absolute and utter ignorance, but when you're co-writing, if we take it down to a third grader level here, do you write a bit and then he writes a bit off of that, or how do you actually even go through the process of co-writing?
Okay, well, the process that I do, or that Randy and I did specifically, is we sat in a room together. One of us may have had what we call the hook or the title of the song, and then we would literally he had a guitar, I had a guitar. I think I came up with kind of a verse structure musically, how to start the song.
So you were writing music and lyrics at the same time?
At the same time.
And for people that don't know, that's not always, that's actually not overly frequent. I feel like often someone writes the music or the lyrics, and then you're trying to find something that fits.
That's right. And it's done so many different ways. As a quick aside in talking about songwriting for the listeners, for the people watching this,
please.
One of the famous songwriting partnerships, Elton John and Bernie Taupin. Yeah. In case they don't know, Elton writes all the music. He doesn't write any lyrics. The lyricist, Bernie Taupin, they never are in the room together, ever. Bernie will either send over a stack of lyrics, and Elton will sit at the piano with these lyrics, with a poem, literally, just something in front of me. And that will dictate the music right there, looking at that lyric. That's how they write it. I don't do it that way. I've never tried it that way, But I sit there with my co-writer, specifically Randy Sharp, and we just, just like bouncing a ball back and forth to one another. I would throw out a word or a line of a song, and then he would kind of counter that, well, that follows with this. And, that's the easiest way to kind of describe it. But somehow in that process, the song is written.
There's a real honesty in that, though, too, because both people have to be vulnerable and open to each other.
Oh, yeah.
You don't want to just say, yeah, that works, if in your heart you don't think that works. And the other person has to be able to hear, I don't know if that works, from their partner there. So it's I can see that being a very honest and there's pitfalls to that if both people aren't on the same page.
There is, I have been in co-writing situations, where if you throw out a line and somebody says, well, that's just stupid. That's not exactly the way to handle it.
There's a way to speak to each other.
There's a little better way, a more polite way to say, well, let's try. I'm not sure if I like that. Let's try this, you know? So yeah, you have to really trust the person you're co-writing with to be able to actually say something stupid,
Sure.
you know, really.
Yeah. And is there anything you want people to take into mind as we're about to listen to Nobody's Talking? Anybody, a
Um,
mindset you want them in or something to?
no, I think there's no particular story to this song, although it was just a cool title. I think we wrote it very well. I think if people will look it up, they can go on YouTube and see the video of this thing. It's pretty cool. It's a lot of fun. Just enjoy it.
All right, cool. So, my friends, let's have a look. Here we are with Exiles. Nobody's Talking.
Do it.
Just got home late last night. This old town was a welcome sight. I couldn't wait to see you again. Oh, how long it's been. When I opened the door, looking all around, you were nowhere to be found. Called all friends just to see if they might know where you might be. Nobody's talking straight. I ask about you and they hesitate, but sooner or later I'm gonna find out. Whatever it is, nobody's talking about. I started looking for you. I just didn't know what else to do. Every place I went, it was always the same. I just say your name and they turn away like they did not hear. What they're not saying is all too clear. In their eyes I see the sympathy. I know there's something they're not telling me. Nobody's talking straight. I ask about you and they hesitate, but sooner or later I'm gonna find out. Whatever it is, nobody's talking about. Nobody's talking straight. I ask about you and they hesitate, but sooner or later I'm gonna find out. Whatever it is, nobody's talking about. Nobody's talking.
That's fantastic. Oh man, well, first and foremost, what are you doing as a bass player on an acoustic guitar? Let's start there.
Who knew, right? Who
Yeah.
knew?
What is this multi-talented musician thing you've got? Singer, songwriter, multi-talent.
Well,
What's happening here?
you know, if you're going to try to write some songs, if you're going to attempt it, you have to play something other than a bass guitar.
Yeah,
So,
probably.
you know, I had to learn to play guitar a little bit to do it, and I enjoy it. You know.
And how many instruments do you play?
Well, I mean, basically bass, guitar, acoustic. I play a little bit of electric. I'm sitting actually in front of a piano as we speak, and I got this only because I love piano. I've always wanted to learn, and so during this whole downtime, I literally
Good
have
for
been
you.
learning songs on piano too. And
Oh, good for you.
I mean, I love it.
That's wonderful. Who was the little visitor I just saw? I just saw
Oh,
a visitor on your camera. Yep. Oh.
this is my little Chihuahua right here. Here's Addie Bell. This is Addie.
Addie Bell. And you chose that name for a cool reason. Would you be willing to share why you chose Addie Bell?
Oh, I had a beloved aunt. Her name was Addie Bell. The real name is Adelaide Bell.
Adelaide Bell. What a cool name.
I always thought that was just cool.
Yeah.
So when we got this little one, I thought that's her. And she's just got a sweet personality. So that's how we named her.
Addie Bell fits then.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah. And you have another dog. You said you have 2 dogs, right? You have another one running around.
We do. We got a big rescue dog, Ginger, who is a German Shepherd Retriever mix.
Big pup.
And we rescued her when she was just almost 1 year old. She's 7 now. And just love her to death. She's our big girl.
Now, and I don't know if you feel the same way. My wife and I, we have 2 rescue dogs. I'm convinced rescue dogs, some part of them knows. I'm convinced that some part of them knows. I really do. And I'm not a big believer in the ethereal to a certain extent, but I'm dead convinced, having had a lot of dogs in my life, these 2 rescues know.
They seem to I mean, first of all, I agree with you. I really do. They seem to just know that whatever situation they've come from, now they're being loved on, and they respond that in kind.
Yeah, it's very cool. Well, thank you for sharing your pups with us.
Absolutely.
You got a couple more songs for us. Tell us a little bit about When She Cries.
Well, that song was written.
This isn't an Exile song, right?
It's not.
You wrote this for somebody else.
However, I will tell you this. It was written for Exile.
Okay.
Exile didn't record it.
Okay.
My co-writer, Mark Beeson. And Mark was invited to a recording session that we had in Nashville. That's how he and I met. And it was determined, we kind of hit it off at this recording session. And it was determined that we'd try to write some songs together. So we did. And we sat down when I got off the road at one particular time, and we wrote When She Cries for Exile. And as you know, kind of fate, things would have it in bands. I played it for the guys, and they didn't really hear it for Exile. I mean, it's kind of a democratic process, and
sure.
I mean, I was kind of, a little heartbroken about the fact. I thought it was a pretty good song, at the time. And lo and behold, the producer for Restless Heart at the time, Josh Leo, heard the song. He got a copy of it. He went, man, I love this. And he recorded it on them. And here's another interesting little tidbit. Their lead singer, Larry Stewart, had left the band at the time when they recorded this, that project with that song. And so a lot of people were saying, well, it's doomed, because the lead singer is gone. Because drummer John Creek sang lead on the song. And it came out, and it became this monster pop song too. Yeah. I mean, it was a hit on the pop charts at that time, on the adult contemporary charts, on the country charts. So, I mean, it was just racking it up, and it turned out to be a big #1 song for Restless Heart.
Tell me a little bit about writing for other people. I feel like that's an interesting avenue, right? It's one thing to write for a band that you're a part of, or an artist that you're related to in some way, that you intimately know them and you have a feel for them. Yeah. I think it's different when you start writing for other people. My 2 questions would be: one, do you write in general and kind of have a concept of artists picking up, or do you write specifically for other artists in mind?
I attempted to write specifically at times for a certain artist. Whoever needed a song at the time. You would get things around Nashville. Well, so-and-so is looking for a song.
Sure.
And I really tried to tailor a song that way. I didn't have any success at all. Some other writers did a lot. So I just went back to writing what was the best song I could write that day from my own experience, from my heart. And when I started doing that again, I started having success that way. So I just have to write the best thing that I can write any particular day, and let it let it go at that.
Do you have any songs in your repertoire that were or weren't picked up or were picked up that you really envisioned for an artist that either ended up going to a different artist or they're still sitting somewhere and you're like, if they just would have.
Well, it's interesting you asked me that question because I wrote a #1 song for a country act, another band called Diamond Rio, I think, which we'll do here in a little bit.
Yeah.
Called Beautiful Mess. And I've got a story about that for you. And we'll talk about that.
Then hold. I tell you what, let's go to When She Cries first, and then we'll talk a little bit about Beautiful Mess in a minute. So my friends, here we go. When She Cries.
Traveled on is paved with good intentions. It's littered with broken dreams that never quite came true. And all of my hopes were dying. Her love kept me trying. She does her best to hide the pain that she's been through. When she cries at night, and she doesn't think that I can't hear her, she tries to hide all the fear she feels inside. So I pray that this time I can be the man that she deserves, and I die little each time when she cries. She's always been there for me whenever I've fallen. Nobody else believes she'll be there by my side. I don't know how she takes it. Just once I'd like to make it. Then there'll be tears of joy that fill her loving eyes. When she cries at night, and she doesn't think that I can't hear her, she tries to hide all the fear she feels inside. So I pray that this time I can be the man that she deserves, and I die a little each time when she cries. So I pray this time I can be the man that she deserves, and I die little each time when she cries. When she cries.
Man, that's wonderful. That really was a monster song. I mean, I sometimes I think it's easy to, I'm not going to say forget, because I really do believe music is timeless. But there's so many great songs out there. There's so many millions of great songs that you only have the capacity of remembering so many at a time. And, I haven't heard When She Cries in years. And all of a sudden you're reminded of a great song. You're like, oh, I loved that song.
Thank you, Jason. I really appreciate it.
No, that's great. Well, and I don't want to be rude, but you said before that you had a story about Beautiful Mess. And our third song that you're going to play for us there, we're going to get to see is Beautiful Mess. And that was done by Diamond Rio. Tell us a little bit about that. What's your story?
Okay. Well, the song was written, and it pitched around to different, for anybody to cut it in Nashville. And lo and behold, Faith Hill put it on hold. And I was, like kind of stunned by it. But
what does that mean for the general watcher? What does it mean, put it on hold?
Well, when an artist puts a song on hold, it means that nobody else can record it until either they record it or they say they want to record it.
Yeah.
And it's
continue. I just wanted to touch on that.
It's kind of a gentleman's agreement, actually. I mean, it's not a rule, but it's a pretty good gentleman's agreement, that nobody can touch the song until they either record it or don't. So,
so Faith Hill puts it on hold.
She puts it on hold. Well, we did a special female version of the song just so she could hear a female singing it, in her head, just so, she could even create more interest in her. So for about literally 9 months, we would get calls. I would get a call periodically from her producer, Dan Huff, this famous producer. And he would say, hey, Faith still loves the song. She's going to cut it. She's going to record it. Great. This went on and on. And about 9 months into this process, and by the way, she had just come off of her huge hit, Breathe.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
that's a global.
It was. And my daughter was about 3 years old at the time. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, Faith Hill record this because I'm going college tuition. Yay.
Yeah.
So,
woo!
So about 9 months later, we get a call from Dan Huff, and I can tell from just his voice. He goes,
Tone.
"Man, Sonny, I'm sorry." He goes, "We're not going to cut it. Faith has just kind of lost interest in it." And I mean, I was crushed. I was crushed. And about literally maybe 2 days later, I get the call that Diamond Rio has recorded it. Now, mind you, for 9 months, I've had in my brain Faith Hill, Faith Hill, Faith. I couldn't hear it. I was
going to say, you develop a sound, right? You also hear what you think it's supposed to be in that moment.
So they had recorded the song, and their producer, Mike Clute, called me up one day. He said, hey, I've got kind of a really good mix on this song. The guys aren't here. If you want to come over to the studio, I'd love for you to hear the song. They want you to hear it. I said, okay, because I was friends with those guys. So I go over to the studio by myself, and I sat down, and I was like terrified that I was not going to like this. Like, oh my God, this is going to be terrible, Yeah. I mean, I'm ashamed to say that right now. I go over there and I sit down in the chair, and he plays the song. And I mean, from the start of it, it blew me away. It blew me away. And, of course, it sounds silly now to tell you that I, but of course I can only hear Diamond Rio, of course.
You were afraid Diamond Rio was going to screw it up. Yeah.
I just thought I don't hear it, but by golly, they made it their own. And it was like a #1, I think, for 3 weeks or something. And it was just, I still hear it all the time. It's a great recording. I love what they did to it. It goes to them.
Did you write it yourself, or was this a co-write?
Oh, I co-wrote it with 2 other good friends of mine, Clay Mills and Shane Miner.
And did you and Clay and Shane, was it sitting in a room, same way you've been doing, or is it a different style?
Literally the 3 of us, and somebody said, well, anybody got an idea? And I said, I've got a title. I said, I've got this title called Beautiful Mess. Oh, Beautiful Mess, huh? And I had just started tuning my guitar in a different tuning, which different tunings can lead you to different things, different way to write a song.
Sure.
And I went from standard tuning to what is called Dad-Gad. And the song was written in Dad-Gad, and it just kind of had this vibey thing to it, the way it's written. That I think if we'd been in standard tuning, it wouldn't have come out that way at all. So that's how it was,
And are we going to watch a video right now, or is it going to be you playing it for us?
Well, I don't want to. you know,
Is
don't
this
have
going
to.
to be Diamond Rio's version or your version?
This is going to be my version. I'm going to
Wonderful.
do
All
the
right.
Sonny acoustic guitar for everybody.
Love it. All right, my friends. The actual writer of the song here is Sonny LeMaire doing Beautiful Mess.
Going out of my mind these days, like I'm walking around in a haze. I can't think straight, can't concentrate, and I need a shave. I go to work and I look tired. The boss man says, son, you're gonna get fired. This ain't your style. And behind my coffee cup, I just smile. What a beautiful mess, what a beautiful mess I'm in. Spending all my time with you. Nothing else I'd rather do. What a sweet addiction that I'm caught up in. 'Cause I can't get enough, can't stop the hunger for your love. What a beautiful mess I'm in. Wanna put salt in my coffee, put my shoes on the wrong feet. Losing my mind, I swear. Might be the death of me, but I don't care. What a beautiful mess I'm in. Spending all my time with you. Nothing else I'd rather do. What a sweet addiction that I'm caught up in. 'Cause I can't get enough, can't stop the hunger for your love. What a beautiful mess I'm in. Is it your eyes? Is it your smile? All I know is you're driving me wild. What a beautiful mess I'm in. All my time with you. Nothing else I'd rather do. What a sweet addiction that I'm caught up in. 'Cause I can't get enough, can't stop the hunger for your love. What a beautiful mess I'm in. What a beautiful mess I'm in.
That was absolutely fantastic. Another wonderful song. Thank you for sharing
Thank
that. A unique take on it, and I like it. It's one thing to, we all hear the music the way it's done by the artist that does it, but
Yeah.
oftentimes, and not that the writer's version is different, but to your point a moment ago, before the song, you were saying that you thought Diamond Rio had a beautiful take on it. They had,
Yeah.
they did wonderful things with it. It may not be exactly what you envisioned it, right? But they went their own direction with it, and maybe they changed the pitch of this, or they adjusted this a little bit here and there. Theirs is gorgeous, obviously, and for good reason. But that
Yeah.
was fantastic. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
Now, I don't think we can do a listening party with a member of Exile without, of course, song number 4. Song number 4 being "Kiss You All Over."
Yeah.
You did not write on this one, correct?
I did not. It was written by our producer, Mike Chapman, and his co-writing partner, Nikki Chin.
Got it. And now this is kind of a cheeky question. I'm not
Yeah.
going to put you on the spot with any of Exile's music. So excluding all of the people that have written for Exile and your songs.
Yeah.
When you, though, as a musician, you've covered millions of songs in your day, whether you're just sitting around strumming or humming or, playing on the piano, it's not only Exile songs you're playing.
Yeah.
Does it ever, you are a proficient writer. When you are listening to someone else's lyrics or someone's wording or how they rhymed or didn't rhyme or however they went about it, do you ever rewrite songs in your head? Do you ever take something and go, gosh, if they just would have, they turned right, they should have turned left. What happened there?
Actually, I mean, that's a really interesting question, because when I really, I can listen to songs with different hats on, just as
Sure.
A listener, whatever. And then I
Sure.
can listen to it as a musician or as a songwriter. I mean, and it happens.
Hmm.
And I do find myself on occasion listening to a song, and they'll get to a point, and I'll think, man, I would have gone this way, I would have done that. But I mean, hey, it's on the radio, so
Yeah.
but I would have taken it maybe a little different direction,
Do you find that in your writing that you did, is it hard to be diverse? Because we write from what we know, right? We write from our own emotions often.
Yeah.
Do you find it's challenging to write a diversity of music as opposed to just your brain's going to want to kind of drive you to one general direction, I would think. But the great writers like yourself, many of the others have found a way to open up so many doors emotionally and, in life, as opposed to people that get pigeonholed and write the same song 17 different times, just in a little different fashion.
I think that's the trick to being successful in anything, but I mean, especially in songwriting, that you have to keep moving forward. You have to be open to new ideas. I mean, it certainly is easy to get stuck in a particular thing that you do well, and it can happen easily in songwriting. But one of the things that is advantageous about co-writing, and especially co-writing now that I do with a lot of younger artists, is they bring a whole fresh thing to the whole process. And I mean, it's really refreshing to do it that way.
And you're talking about writing with young, actually, you know what? Let's hold. I was going to start talking about writing with the newer artists, but let's hold on that a moment. Let's now Kiss You All Over. I don't think is the easiest to do alone in your living room there. So I assume this will not be just you. Is this a performance of it or a video of it?
It would be a video of it. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right, cool. We'll check out performance, of course. Well, and before we do, you were there when Kiss You All Over, charted and hit and became what it was and still is what it is for Exile. Tell us a little bit about the song, I guess, before we jump into it, from your perspective. You guys have had a lot of great hits, and I mean, no disrespect, but Kiss You All Over is when people mention Exile, it's usually the first song people mention. What's it mean? What's it mean to you guys to have that?
Well, it was a career, literally a career song. It gave us our career. It's helped us sustain our career. I mean, you can't say enough about a song like that, that does something like that for you. So, I can remember many, many years ago thinking, oh my gosh, if I'm going to have to play Kiss You All Over, 20 years or whatever. Oh man, really?
43 years from now.
Yeah, who knew, right?
Yeah.
Now, we gladly, thankfully play that song every night with gusto, and because we give it props for what it is. I mean, it gave us a career.
And when you guys were first, did you know it? Did you know at the time that it was the monster that it was, or was it just one of the tracks in your mind?
Quite the contrary. It was such a different song, and at the time, the content of the song, it was it raised a lot of questions to all of us. And again, telling you earlier in this interview that we were known for original material playing in clubs. When we recorded the song, prior to it being released at radio, we were still playing club things, and audiences were used to us playing our original material. This is the absolute truth. We would play our songs and the audience is digging it. Everything's great. We had announced that we have a brand new song that we just recorded. It's going to be our first single. And we would play Kiss You All Over. And so help me, the audience was like in stunned silence. I mean, it was like they're looking at us like, what?
And what did you do with Exile? Yeah.
And it really was unnerving, incredibly unnerving, to the point that when we used to rehearse way out in the country in Kentucky, this little place out in Waco, Kentucky, in a big tractor barn.
As you do.
It was cold in the winter, hot as hate. On the way out there one time, now they're getting ready to release Kiss You All Over. I can remember the conversation in our Winnebago that broke down all the time.
As they do.
Yeah. Having this conversation that we were scared to death, that we needed to call the record company and tell them, it's got to be this other song. It can't be that song. I mean, it's going to flop. It's going to flop. So what did I know?
What did you know? Yeah.
And boy, was I proved wrong, in a big way.
When did, how long did it take for live audiences to embrace it?
As soon as they started hearing it on the radio.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, literally,
of course, right? Yeah.
The same audience that would come to see us, they start hearing on the radio, we play it, they go crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, it was the strangest sensation, honestly.
Do you have songs that you look back on? And I know I asked you as a writer, but as a musician, so switching hats, as a band member in Exile, do you have songs that you guys thought, wow, this is going to blow the roof off? This is next level, and it never went anywhere? I mean, not that it never went anywhere, but didn't go to the level you thought.
Absolutely. Absolutely has happened. Guarantee you it has happened to us. Yes. Emphatically, yes.
Yes. Yeah. Right. Does it make you excited for the process, or does it terrify you in the process? And I guess clarifying that question being, even as someone in the height of their profession who is a hyper, successful group, and you guys have had all these, it's so hard to know. It's so hard to know.
Because a lot of times there's just no rhyme or reason, It's like who makes it and who doesn't.
Yeah.
And you're at the, it's like people have equated having a hit song to winning the lottery, and it's true. All the stars have to line up, the planets, everything has to align, and
political climate, social climate, the whole 9 yards.
Absolutely. And I so appreciate our music much more today than I did back then, because looking back on it, I realized how ridiculously hard it was and how lucky we were,
Well, with all that said, let's take a look at a great look back at Kiss You All Over.
Oh, yeah.
I've been thinking about you, babe, you're my one desire. Gonna wrap my arms around you and hold you close to me. Oh, babe, I wanna taste your lips, I wanna be a fantasy, yeah. I don't know what I'd do without you, babe, don't know where I'd be. You're not just another lover, no, you're everything to me. Every time I'm with you, baby, I can't believe it's true. When you lay in my arms and you do the things you do, you can see it in my eyes, I can feel it in your touch. You don't have to say a thing, just let me show how much I love you. Kiss you all over and over again. I wanna kiss you all over till the night closes in, till the show me everything you do. 'Cause baby, no one does it quite like you. Love you, need you, oh baby. I wanna kiss you up and over again. I wanna kiss you up and over till the night closes in. 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 Till the night closes.
Man, that's another one of those songs that, you know, I don't forget that song because it's such a monster song. You can't forget that song, but it brings back memories, right? I mean, it's got to bring back a ton of memories for you to hear that. I mean,
Um,
if you had to ballpark, how many times do you think you've played that song live?
oh my God. Well,
Thousands, and I mean, it's got to be it's innumerable.
it has to be in the
Yeah.
thousands. Yeah, absolutely. Sure does.
That's cool. Well, you were mentioning before we jumped into it that you were writing today with a newer generation of writer, a newer generation of artists. Tell us a little bit about that. What's it like writing today? Are you still writing the same process? Has it changed? Or
The process is the same, you know, in terms of my writing, except I'm a lot of times writing with newer, younger artists, of course.
Mhm.
And the process is the same. The cool thing is that they bring a different vibe, a different viewpoint to the process, you know, different phrases. So it keeps me on my toes. And, you know, it's exciting.
And are you writing with or for anybody specifically right now? Or are you writing in general, kind of like we were talking about earlier, and then seeing what kind of artists are nibbling?
Well, I'm just kind of writing in general, but there's a couple up and coming, perhaps new artists that I've been writing with, and you know, younger folks, and you know, we'll see what happens.
Very cool. I'd ask
Yep.
this. Go ahead.
Yep.
Go ahead. Oh, I would ask the same question about Exile then. I was actually going to say, you know, changing hats again from writer Sonny to bass player Sonny. Exile's been, you know, we're closing in on 60 years, I guess, of Exile and 43 years of you in Exile. What is the band doing currently? And I don't mean right this moment, but you know, in the new version, in the newest version of Exile, the current version of Exile, you still tour a fair bit. I know obviously we're fortunate to get you out on our cruises, but you guys are booked up a lot.
Absolutely. I mean, we're working, you know, been working, you know, at least 60, 70 shows a year, and
That's a lot.
it is a, so we're continuing to do that. JP, my old songwriting pal, you know, have written all the majority of the Exile songs with. JP and I have been co-writing together with actually a Hall of Fame songwriter, Sharon Vaughn. We've been writing, believe it or not, Christmas songs.
Oh, well, you guys have done a little Christmas bits here and there. I mean,
we do. You know, we have a Christmas album that we've done 3 or 4 years ago, but we want a new project for this year. So we're writing Christmas songs for this coming, you know, holiday season.
Cool. Are you, not to disparage Christmas, but are you writing non-Christmas songs as well? Is there potential to see some new material out of Exile?
A little bit of both. It's a little bit of both. You know, we've been concentrating mostly on Christmas, but it's not exclusively Christmas songs.
It's not just Christmas. Got it.
Yeah.
Well, very cool. Well, that's exciting. And I know that I'm sure that fans watching and your fans and the cruise fans and all the fans that intermix, that's exciting. You know, I think it's to have a band that has a sound that you love, you as a consumer, as a person who loves music, you know, it's nobody ever wants that to go away. You don't want to lose Exile. You know, you'll always have Exile's music from the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, but you never want it to stop. You want it to
No.
continue because you love it. It's like a writer. You never want a writer to quit because he or she has so many great books that they've written. You want her to keep writing new books. You want the new ones, and the fans love that. I'm sure it means the world to know that Exile's still active, and not just active performing wise, but creative.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the things that I couldn't just be part of the band and exclusively just do our older hits.
Yeah.
Certainly play live. I mean, the people want to hear that, and we gladly play those songs. But I have to have some kind of outlet for new music. I mean, that's who I am as a person. I have to keep pushing ahead for newer things. Whether it's for Exile or whomever. But that's what keeps me going.
Now, if you're just jamming out, and I said, I'm sorry, you can't play any Exile. You can't play any Exile, and you're just jamming out. You're not recording. You're not doing a live show. You're just jamming. Who do you love to play?
Well, besides Beatles, for example.
Cool.
The other band that I've just been, in fact, learning songs on the piano and just doing for my own enjoyment is The Band.
The Band, yeah.
I mean, absolutely. I've been watching a lot of stuff, reading a lot of stuff about them, watching some interviews that Robbie Robertson has given. Levon, before he passed away, of course, the documentary on him. Their music touched me deeply and still does.
Any particular reason you feel?
I think it's this, for one thing, it's this incredible mixture of sounds. Mm-hmm. They were so unique in terms of the vocals and the way they played their stuff, and Robbie Robertson's songwriting. I mean, the storytelling aspect of it. He was just a master, and that's what attracts me.
I would ask you the same question now with your other hat, with your writer hat.
Yeah.
Is there a writer, a songwriter that you would love to sit and write with?
Oh my God. And there's many.
I was going to say, it doesn't have to be one. I hate when people say, tell me your number one. Or are there a few? Are there some that come to mind?
Well, besides, some of these great Nashville songwriters, of course, some of the greatest on the planet live here, of course, but I'm still a huge fan of Burt Bacharach. Burt Bacharach, of course, McCartney, Paul Simon, folks like that. I would jump at the opportunity to sit down and write a song with them.
Oh, that's very cool. Well, listen, I try in all these chats with legends like yourself to keep them positive and upbeat and forward looking, and I'll continue to do so. But I always ask at the very end how people are doing in the current times. We're all going through something. This pandemic has, I think, thrown everyone for a bit of a loop here. It's certainly unique to all of us. So the first and most important question I would ask is you, your family, your loved ones, how's everyone doing? You guys doing okay?
Thank you for asking. Everybody is well, so far doing good, honestly.
Good. And you and your whole family's down in the Nashville area, at least your immediate family's in the Nashville area, or?
Yes, my wife and I live, our youngest daughter is still living at the house, and my oldest daughter's in LA, but and we have my wife, we have mixed family. My other two children are down in South Carolina, so everybody is healthy. Good. Everybody is I wish we could see them right now. I mean, we do a lot of this,
sure,
a lot of FaceTime,
sure,
and
which is wonderful, but it's not quite the same.
It is. I mean, at least we have this for sure.
Amen. Now, a lot of folks watching, obviously, I mean, do you have any thoughts on kind of what we're going through? And do you have any messages for the fans out there, for all the folks watching about, I feel like the majority of people are finding a way to remain positive, but I think it's a battle for a lot of folks. There's some folks going through some tougher times, and we've had some wonderful messages from our stars. I wonder if you'd like to share anything.
I'd love to. I just want to say to all the folks, all our fans, all the folks the fans of the cruises that may be watching us right now, to please know that we love you. I mean, as a band, me personally, at the band, we want you to stay safe and well. We do look forward to the time when we can all get together again. We all do that. We know that this time of social distancing and staying home is tough. and it could lead to, you know, people being a little depressed or whatever.
Mhm.
And I just hope that the music that we are providing, that we bring, can just give a little bit of relief, make you smile, think of better times. And if we can do that for any of you, thank goodness. I'm glad to be able to do it. And we do look forward to the time when we can share our music live together. But until that time, enjoy this.
Amen. That's a wonderful message. That's a wonderful message, Sonny. I really appreciate that. And actually, I would tag on to that. When do you guys start back up in terms of concerts and stuff again? Do you have any rough estimate?
Actually, I wish I could say we knew, but we really don't. I think the last piece of this entire situation with the pandemic is, you know, how comfortable people are going to feel
Yeah.
in crowds again.
Yeah.
And I think it's a little too early to tell.
Agreed.
But I promise you this, as soon as we get the okay that we feel it's appropriate and we can get back out there, I'm telling you right now, we're chomping at the bit to go play.
I was talking to some folks doing this the other day, and you know, I think that whenever that month is, let's say September, October right now is what they're currently saying, you know, that phrase. If it's a little later or a little earlier, I'm not saying a specific time, as much as whenever that time is going to be arguably and potentially the greatest entertainment couple of months in the history of entertainment. Every band is itching to get back on stage. Every comedian is itching to get back on stage.
Yeah.
Every person is itching to get out and do something like that. It's gonna be pretty amazing.
You talk about appreciating and living in the moment.
Yeah,
Everybody's
right.
really going to be living in the moment and appreciating what we have.
Truth to that. Well, shameless plug for you here. Is there a spot where people can check in on social media with you or Exile, the band, et cetera, to make sure they know what you're up to or what the band's dates are?
Absolutely. The band, of course, has a Facebook page, Instagram, all that. The Facebook is Exile Band Official. There's an Instagram page with that also.
Okay.
There's also exile.biz, B-I-Z, that they can check in, you know, for tour dates or merchandise, whatever they want. And me personally, of course, I have a Facebook page, Sonny LeMaire, you know, Facebook, Instagram. I've just recently set up a YouTube channel.
Oh,
Sonny
welcome
LeMaire,
to the game.
Sonny LeMaire YouTube channel. And like all these songs that I've written, as well as a lot of songs that I really like to play on my own, favorites of mine, I've put on this YouTube channel.
Wonderful.
So they can check that out and be hopefully it'll entertain them as well.
No worries. We'll run all of this here on the lower third, so folks can follow along. So all you folks watching, you've just seen some of them. Keep an eye down here. All of this information. This is where you can find more information on Sonny and the band Exile. I want to thank you so much, sir, for taking the time to be with us. I really do truly appreciate it. On behalf of all the fans and all the cruisers, it means the world that you've taken a few minutes out with us.
Thank you, Jason. And again, thank you to you, all you're doing. And I can echo the sentiment I know of all the people that watch you, all the fans that come on the cruises. We can't wait to see you. We can't wait to all get back together.
The beauty of seeing me is if you're seeing me, they know they're about to see you. So I'm just that little I'm a gateway drug is what I am. You're awesome, Sonny. To all the folks watching, thank you so much for tuning in yet again for another edition of All Access Pass from Home. Today, a listening party with the great Sonny LeMaire of Exile. Thank you so much, everybody. Be safe, wash your hands, and keep tuned into this channel for more content soon. Be well. We'll see you soon.